So I'm still inking my Marasu. As I mentioned, I have left one section empty in between, and I have moved on to the third layer and I'm inking it. I have not left a highlight as of now, but we can always do that with our chalk pencil or with our jelly roll. So we have many options, but first, just the way you do your Marasu, go to alternate sections and ink them. You might switch to a bolder nib for faster inking, but do it patiently. Yeah. And this in between section, probably let us use the burgundy. So what I'm going to do is probably alternate with burgundy, or you can leave it empty, whichever way you feel like doing it. Let us add burgundy in between. Again, leave one, add burgundy. Yes, again leave one. Keep rotating. Take your time. Yes, this section also you can turn it reddish brown. Take your time. Just inking alternate spaces, just as we do for Marasu. See the drama that it adds. Enjoy the process. Now if you want to add some bit of highlights, you can always do that with your jelly roll. Make sure the inking is proper and you don't have spaces left in between. Yeah. So if you have your jelly roll handy, then we will need it more on this project, because the backgrounds are colored, and as soon as the backgrounds get colored, no matter what color, the jelly roll and the white chalk are fun to work with. Yes, so I'm just adding some highlights there with my jelly roll, like that. Yes. Now let us quickly get to shading our tile, and then we shall see if we have to do some other things. We can always go back. So the first tile I'm shading is the moon pie, an extended moon pie rather. And what I'm going to do is add some thick graphite on both edges and blend it, bring it up to almost the center, but leave a center highlight white. Yes. So blend, soften the chalk, the graphite, bring it almost till the center, but leave a center highlight like this. You might want to add shadow underneath your black pearls. Do it with your stub, and then use your chalk in the center. And your moon comes to life. Yes, just soften the chalk with a different blending stub, of course. Soften it out so that it's not cakey, patchy. That's your first style. Yes, if you want to add some bit of shadow here, you can do that with your stub. Just a touch, not much. Yes, moving on next to our finery. So finery spaces are small, so you don't need to blend much. I'm adding graphite on both sides of this line, each of these lines, and I'm just going to blur it. That's all I'm going to do as far as shading my finery is concerned. Yes, just going to blur it a little. So some fine graphite, not too much, like this. Yes, and then just blend it without spreading it too much. Take it to both sides. Don't blend too much because you also want the yellows to show. So blend as much as is required without making the entire thing gray. Take your time. So add the graphite on both sides of the lines, the grid lines that you started with, like this. Yes, no trouble. Moving on to our next. So I am adding under the stems. So this surface is green. Again, the white chalk will add a lot. Yes. So first let us add on one side, which is the inside. I'm adding graphite. Yes. Like this. The other side, let us highlight with chalk. So use your chalk pencil and highlight the other half. With white, just a touch, not too much. So it gives a nice high and low effect to your tile. Yes, you get a nice high and low. So now this is green surface. What you can do is add some embellishments. So we have already added some orbs. You can always go back and add some white dots inside it. Anything, any small embellishment works. You can also add dots here on your moons, something like this. Small little dots. Yes. So whatever you feel like, whichever way you feel like, you can embellish this green tile with your jelly roll. Yes, you want to add dots inside these orbs, you can do that. What you can also do is just run through your jelly roll in between here to add a highlight on your yellow, something like this. So what I'm trying to say here is the moment the surface changes colors, you have a lot of options to shade. So shade on the moon, sorry, the Muka heads. Yes, moving on next to our Fengal. So wherever the lines seem to be going over, under, that's the place to highlight first. Yes, the in-between spaces you can add chalk, and I'm going to add here and here the graphite. Yes, so graphite at the ends and at the beginnings, and the in-between spaces can be highlighted with chalk. Yes, it's a blue surface. Again, the chalk will look beautiful. Take your time, slowly do the exercise for all. Yes, you would also like to aura the inside, add some darkness here, but make sure you leave center white, so blend a little. Yes, just adding a touch of graphite there, not much, so that I can highlight my center also. Small touches there. Take your time, slowly blend. Yes, and now I'm going to add chalk. So as I mentioned, highlight this part with your chalk and your finger starts to breathe. Yes. So as soon as your tile changes its color from white, enjoy using the chalk, enjoy using the jelly roll. Highlight the center here, highlight here. Yes. Now blend with a different stub, soften the chalk. Make sure it blends well with your paper. Yes, and you can also add a touch of graphite here. That's it. We don't need to do anything else. On this tile, you can add a touch of chalk in here. And you can also add some fine dots on your printums just to enhance the highlight. Yes, and the rest of the space, it's entirely up to you. You can leave it as such, or probably you can add anything probably some aura, some black pearls, or some puffs. Take your time. Something like this, very subtle, yet adding to the look of your tangle. Yes. Now moving on to our munchin. So let's now shade our munchin. Places from where lines are emerging and place where lines are landing. Just adding some graphite. Spaces are small, so don't add too much. Maybe what you already have is sufficient. So this is again a colored surface, so we can add our jelly roll for highlights. Just adding some touches on the very small ones, and then going to our poke roots. Have fun. Add graphite on one corner, blend it. Yes. As far as your munchin is concerned, you can always add a highlight, something like this, with your jelly roll. If you want to, you can also run your chalk. So I'm just touching my jelly roll, adding a slight highlight like this. Yes, and as far as these colored poke roots are concerned, I'm just redoing the highlight a little bit. You can also add some jelly roll inside these small little orbs that you placed here and there. It will highlight them a little more. Yes. So that was our last style. As I mentioned, you can always add dots, embellishments on your moons here. Yes, wherever you feel like. I'm not doing it for all. And then the last one, of course, Marasu. We shade generally on the grid, but here since we have some spokes coming out, so I will add some shadow here under the spokes. Yes, probably both sides. Yeah, and then blend it a little, not too much. And you can add some highlight in between here. Wherever there are folds, there are curves, you can highlight it a little with your chalk. You can also add some graphite here in the dips. Something like this. Yes, not too much. And then just use your chalk, your graphite, and add to your marasu. Run over the grid. Yes. Take your time. Yeah, just blend. A little bit of shadow there on your yellow. Take your time, enjoy. Don't blend too much, make sure the yellow is clear. We already have highlights, so no need for further highlights. If you want, you can add some highlights on these spokes that you have added. Yes, so if you want, you can add some white or just leave it like that. Maybe to highlight the spokes a little more, just adding a dash of white there. The yellow is also as prominent. Just adding some bit of dots here in the center. And that's it. I don't think we need to do more. So the last thing that I'm going to do is add these puffs all around my tiles. And we have to highlight the overlaps. That will be the last thing. Yes. So just adding some stitches there. Yes, that's it. And now let us highlight the overlaps with our gray watercolor pencil. Blend it a little. Take your time. Just blend a little to give that shadow effect. Yes. Go to each. Not much, just a little. That's it. Let us soften it. A little more. And we are done. I don't think we need to do anything else. Our tiles, sorted tiles today are ready. Yes, you want to add anything in these empty spaces, you can do that. You can also add these dots here if you want, like this. Yes. So last but not the least, don't forget to put in your chop. And this is a wrap up of our series on tile. Yes, Zentangle overlapping tiles. I shall see you again with another new series, new sessions. Till then, have a good time. Bye bye.